In this video, we are going to see about Angular components. We need to see what is Angular first. Angular is a single page application framework. So Vue is more important in this Angular applications. So single page applications means we have only one page and all the other views will be built on the single page only. So there will be a time construction available here. So that is the main positivity of Angular applications. So Angular, React, Vue, all applications are coming in this pattern only now. Single page applications. So only one page is loaded, and all the views are built, and all the views are placed in the same page each and every time. So it will be very effective and very speed. So that's the main advantage of Angular. And components are the basic building blocks of the Angular applications. So without components, there will be no Angular. That much of impact is there with the components in the Angular. So if we call like Angular, what is a Angular component means? We can simply say like an HTML file and a CSS file and a component class and component metadata, which all forms and contributes the Angular component. We'll see one by one. And first, HTML template means it's simple plain HTML without any basic tags. We can just code our HTML. For example, I have a code h1 some tags and an input box, and an output box means I can easily give this alone, which will built in the, which will be built using the HTML primary tags, and it will be built using the component class. Okay, so this HTML template will be the view of the component classes. Okay. For the class we are using TypeScript class, so we need to write the code in the TypeScript. So knowledge of TypeScript is needed for writing Angular applications, and for creating components and writing methods and properties. We need TypeScript knowledge, and TypeScript will be compiled into JavaScript, so that will be getting executed inside the browser. Okay. So TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript, so it has many good features than JavaScript. So this is the component class example. So here I have imported component and on in it. So these are the needed libraries for any component, because component annotation decorator is needed to define the component, and on in it is for using the ng-onInit method, and we can call methods and properties inside for browser initialization every purposes. We can use this on-init method. And the component it has a structure. The component decorator has a structure. So with the open bracket and curly bracket, it has three things mainly. One is selector, another one is template URL, third one is tail URL. Selector will be the component's name. So this component name is AppGrid. So AppGrid is given here. And template URL is we can use a external template or even the inline template. Inline template means you can directly give the code which you want to execute inside the HTML file directly in the template. If you are writing these things in a separate HTML file, then you can use the template URL, and style URLs will have the CSS files needed, so which has a special square bracket, and below that we have an export class. So this class will have the component name. Grid component is the component name here, and it implements on it, and constructor is necessary to initiate these component classes, and the methods and variables we declare here, we can declare it as public or private based on our requirements, and all this will be, all the methods and everything will be called inside this ng-onInit, so that it will be easily inside the browser. So component contains three things: template, class, and metadata. Metadata is data about data. So this metadata will give extra information about the specified thing, and class will have it is like a class in Java or C language, which contains properties and methods. We use our logics to write inside these classes, and it will be getting executed. Template file is for showing the out to the users, so we are using these template files, that is HTML files. A component class can have a single file or a multiple files based on the requirements, but everything should be hooked under a single on-init method. Bootstrapping component is the component which will be the root component mostly, which will be fetched as the first page in the browser. So it will be linked to the index.html. So all other components will be linked to the module files, and this will be come to the component, the root component, and it will be again displayed on the browser and added to the index.html file. So bootstrapping component is nothing but like we can tell the app module file list which is the first file which should be loaded in the browser. Okay. To declare a component, we need to create a new component. So we need to use ng generate component and component name. So it will generate a new component with needed CSS file, HTML file, and HTML file, CSS file, component class, and a spec.ts. Spec.ts is for testing this particular component. Okay. Here I have listed an app.module file, so which will contains the app component is loaded here in the import statement, and grid component also loaded here. App routing module is used for routing application, so for directing application to whether various pages it will be used, and ng module is the core module which contains some key things. One is declarations, imports, provider, bootstrap, which will be provided inside this ng module. Browser module will contain the browser application configurations. I will tell you that one. RTNG module. So this decorator will contains declarations, imports, providers, bootstrap. So bootstrap, what is the component which we given the bootstrap will be coming as the first page of the application. Okay, in the browser. And providers, we can use the services inside these providers. And for imports, I'm using two imports here: browser module and app routing module. So these are library class files which should be imported inside these imports. And declarations, we have to declare our components only. So I have declared app component tick and a grid component which I already declared in the top is listed here. For adding the root component, I will be basically having interaction with the root component class, where other shell components we need to add these components name inside the uh, root components HTML file, so then only it will be added. So here we have a grid component and app component. App component is a root component, grid component is the child component. So I am adding this app grid as the grid component to load inside the parent components HTML file, so that it will load and work easily. So here I have a component class. In this component class I have after the selector is app grid. I have a template. So the template URL means we have to give the file which is added as the template file. But if we are directly adding here, I have a small HTML file, so I need a directly add here means I have to use the backslash that is next to number one. Okay, before number one, so we need to use that one. And after that we have to write our own code. So I am writing a div. Inside this div I have a name requires, and this will be under that input type text, and I have button to grid. So this click grid is event binding. So I'm binding a grid method from the component class which will be giving hello steve as the name, and that will be returned back to this button. Okay, thanks team, thanks for the support.